debts actually come from, come internally. Okay, internal debt. There are so many things that, of course, the US, if you look at the budget of the US, you find out that, there's so many things that, as a country, as a world power, it actually spends money on. And up from the time where we saw COVID, and where the government of the United States decided to provide stipends, to help United States citizens with that trying time. Right from that time, it's been one issue or the other. You understand? It's been one issue or the other. The truth is that because of that, there was a lot of money made available in the US economy. And because of a lot of money made available in the US economy, we also had what we call inflation. Okay, we also had inflation. Now, when we talk about inflation, we're talking about the fact that there was systemic increase because of the influx of money as regards or as against the amount of goods in the economy. So there was a lot of cash, but because of COVID, production was reduced. So we did not have enough goods. We had more cash than goods. So the US entered or the world at large actually entered a point of inflation fears. Until now, that is still what is going on. But right now, it turns out that the US Federal Reserve, they have reached out to the government and said, see, we will likely not be able to meet our obligation if we don't raise the debt ceiling. Now, when we talk about debt ceiling, or when you hear about debt ceiling, if you go online now, that's what's reigning when it comes to the US. Debt ceiling is a legislative process, a legislative decree that the US government has set for herself and said, this is the amount of money that we are actually allowed to borrow. You understand? This is the amount of money that we are actually allowed to borrow. But as it stands now, over the course of even in the year in this millennium, in the 2000s, the US government has consistently raised its debt ceiling because they found out that spending has actually increased. A lot of it is usually on defense, and so much and so other. So the US government has always increased or raised the debt ceiling, increased the create a legislation that says, oh, we can borrow more, and that is what the discussion is around now, because the government is saying, or the Treasury Department is saying to the government that if we don't increase this debt ceiling, we will not be able to meet with our obligations on the 1st of June. We are going to have what we call a default. And that is what the current meeting between Biden and the House, because it's not something that Biden can just decree. The House has to approve it. Okay, so there's that discussion now. You know that in the US, we majorly have the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay, so Democrats are saying, let's increase this thing. Republicans are saying, let's cut on spending. So there's that debate. But the truth is that is actually what is moving the dollar now. If by next week, Wednesday, I think next week Wednesday or so, which will be June 1st, if there is no decision as regards the debt ceiling, if they are not able to raise the debt ceiling, there's a high chance that the US will be defaulting for the first time in a while. And that will actually signal a lot of weakness for the dollar, because it will mean that the US as a country will not be able to meet a lot of its financial obligations, both internally and outside the US. They'll not be able to meet a lot of their things. And remember that just before this time, of course, the US is the world power. So apart from spending within the United States, they also spend outside. They provide help. They provide assistance, financial assistance to countries that are in war or whatever. You see them supplying ammunitions and weapons to Ukraine. You see them providing material relief to countries. You see them providing financial relief. So all this, there's a high chance that the US will not be able to meet their obligation if this decision is not made. And that is why right now the dollar seems to be in hard times. Okay, I'm just giving us a background so that when we go into the chart, we'll just be looking into the market as quickly as possible. Okay, that's that. Now for GBP, for the British pound, yesterday on the British pound, I think they released their data on CPI, Consumer Price Index, CPI, and when that data came out, it showed that there was increase in the amount of inflation, in the United Kingdom, in Britain. So that actually made people to bet on the British pound, to say that, oh, if there is increase in inflation, there's likely going to be increase, or there's likely going to be interest rate hike. We have talked about before, we've talked about how that when you go into the market, or when you look at the level of inflation, when you look at CPI and it is higher, normally it should mean that, oh, there's a higher level of inflation, and that should not be a good thing for an economy. But the truth is that investors look beyond that. Investors believe that, oh, if there is increase in the consumer price index, if there is increase in the amount of inflation in an economy, naturally the federal government, or the central bank of that economy, or the body in charge of the economy of that nation, will likely push towards increasing interest rates. And if they push towards increasing interest rate, that is why you will see investors want to buy that particular currency, and that is what's happening with the GBP. And then for the Australian dollar, because of the weakness, because Australian dollar, one of their major trade partners is China. Because of the weakness in China, China is trying to recover. China was recently still hit with COVID, and so you see that the Australian dollar actually has been weak for some time. Okay, so these are some of the important things that are going on in the market, especially relating to the dollar and the British pound. Okay, so that said, we are going to go into our chart and look at the market for today, so that we can decide or determine what to do. Okay, let me share my screen with us. Also, one thing I did not add was that yesterday there was an FOMC meeting, although we did not get so much, we did not get so much movement in the market. So just like I said, the thing with information, or the thing with the market, is that it's all about what is important. Right now, what is important to the dollar is debt ceiling. And you can see this is the dollar index. You can see the strength of the dollar index. If you understand how strong the dollar index is currently, then we can likely decide what to do in the market. And for DE30 today, DE30, you can see, has actually been on a downtrend. Most recently, it has been on a downtrend. And because of this downtrend, sorry, let me reduce this a bit. Good. Because of this downtrend, yesterday, or towards the early hours of this morning, late yesterday into the early hours of this morning, it tried to make a kind of retracement. But you can see on 1 hour that it has been rejected at this resistance here. This green dot you can see on your chart is what we refer to as parabolic SAR. Parabolic SAR. We're going to be talking more about it later today by 1 p.m. And with this same link, you just try and join Indices Market Mastery later today by 1 p.m. for us to talk more about the parabolic SAR. But you can see that from my parabolic SAR, or let's just trying to let you know that we're going to be talking about this. Let me take this off so that it doesn't confuse people until we can explain it. But this is DE30. And you will see that DE30 is likely going to continue this fall up to this particular support. Okay, DE30 is good because DE30 has gotten to a point where it's very sold. It's approached a oversold region, even on the RSI. Okay, but there's such strength in the dollar that I would expect still a further fall in the market. But the truth is that right now, if you look at DE30, there is a verified support on the 1 hour here. There is a verified support on the 1 hour, and you will find out that the last time price was able to come close or test this verified support, price was able to retrace. back up. So this is what I'm looking at for my zone on DE30 today, where you want to look out for your buy trade, expecting that if price falls towards this point, we expect it to push back up. Okay, so all around this zone on DE30 is where we should be looking out for a rejection. Since it's a verified support, we should be looking out for a rejection on DE30. Now I have said that. Okay, let me zoom in. Good. Now, I have said there is a verified support just around the corner here. So even if DE30 sells towards this verified support, I expect that it should be rejected here. So this is where our buy zone is. This is where you should be looking at taking a buy trade on DE30. Okay, looking at taking a buy trade on DE30 once it trades below up to this point. I highly expect that there's going to be a retracement around this point. But if somehow DE30 breaks below this our yellow line, then we can now consider selling towards the closest verified support, which is here. Okay, so for scalpers, once price gets towards this region that is marked in yellow, verified support on the 1 hour, you can scalp a buy and make good profit there. For intraday traders, you can take your buy trade around this zone here. But if price breaks below this zone, then you'll likely want to sell to this verified support. Okay, so we expect a rejection anywhere around here. You can notice that most recently, although it was not far-fetched, it didn't last for too long, but price was rejected around here. If we check it on the daily time frame, you find out that, you know, if I put a marker, you find out that price has been rejected around this place for a couple of times. You understand? Good. So that is what we will be doing this morning on DE30. Okay. That said, we move on from DE30. And so if you take your buy from that point, if you take your buy from this yellow zone here, and you should be taking your profit before this weak resistance, but if price goes ahead to break this weak resistance, then you can continue with the buy. Okay. But take your profit around here, you should be able to make good profit on DE30 around this particular point. Okay, so let's move on from DE30 and let me check out. Okay, let's check out US 500. Let's check out US 500. Good. You will notice just the same issue with the index market, right? Even for US 500, pardon my network. Even for US 500, when we check it out, you find out that, you know, we actually had a fall on US 500, and that is why oh, okay, not updated yet. Just a minute, please. So I think one of the better faring indices during this region has actually been US 100. That is also because US 100 is, you know, US 100 is made up of tech stocks, right? Made of tech stocks. So for it to be made of tech stocks, recently tech companies have been doing well because last week into upper week, the tech stocks have been posting, or companies have been posting their corporate earnings. And you find out that many of those tech stocks have been doing well. Apple, Microsoft, they've been doing well. And that is why out of all of them, US 100 is the one who, you know, has not been affected. Okay, someone's asking how you update your chart. It's down here. You have your data point reading here. So you can just click on this place down bottom right and click on rescan server. Okay, so that said, we're talking about how that US 100, you can see US 500, you can see it falling off this verified resistance. Now if you check it on 1 hour, it has made a level of retracement from this proven support. That's made the level of retracement. So what I would advise is that, you know, around this top of this point, since we see that the dollar, when we check the dollar index is actually gaining in strength, there's a high chance that US 100 is, or US 500 is going to, you know, has completed this retracement and is likely heading back to test this proven support. Okay, so what I would advise is that you see this particular point here where we have a kind of a range here. Once price trades below here, we can take a sell on US 500. I advise a sell on US 500 up to this proven support, except if it breaks above this most recent high that it has made this morning. So if you check it on 1 hour, you just see that it has created a resistance for itself at this 4158 region. Okay, so if it breaks below this 4134 region, I'm going to be expecting a sell to the proven support. Okay, that is US 500. Let's look at US 2000, and then we will now leave indices to go check out commodities or currencies. US 2000 has also shown from candlestick pattern that it's not able to break this Tonkot resistance. This is a Tonkot resistance. Now, what has happened? What has happened is that within the last 1 hour, price has hit this particular resistance. Yes, my indicator is showing support here, but once price is below a barrier, you see it as a resistance. Okay, once price is below a barrier, you see it as a resistance, and then price has been able to form an inverted hammer on this point here. So that will likely mean that, you know, price does not have that momentum to break this particular resistance. So what I'm going to do for US 2000 is that consider this particular zone here. This is where the most recent support is on US 2000. Okay, this is where the most recent support is. Now, anything that makes price to trade below this point, it's going to make a lower low to this particular verified support. So for US 2000 traders, I would advise that you have a little patience for price to break below this low. Let price close this below this most recent low, and then you can confirm a sell to the verified support. But given the current strength of the dollar, I expect that, and with what the last hour candlestick did on this resistance, I expect that this sell is likely going to continue. What price has done is price has just ranged, and price is likely going to continue that original move that it has begun. That's the sell move. Okay. Let's check out currencies. Let's move into currencies. I'm going to look at AUD CAD. Okay, so I was explaining before we started how AUD, the Australian dollar has actually gotten weak. You know, Australian dollar has gotten weak, and that is because, you know, much of the strength of the Australian dollar, because of the fact that it is a strong trade partner with China. AUD, Australian economy is a strong trade partner with China, and China has not been exactly forthcoming, especially when it comes to business, because they also have their battles to deal with. Most recently, it's looking like they're coming out of the COVID. They were one of the last, you know, hits with COVID, so they had to do more to come back from COVID. Okay, so it's hard for them, but that's why you see the effect on the Australian dollar. You see, Australian dollar has fallen so low and has approached a weak support. But let's check it out on the daily time frame. Looking at it on the daily time frame, you will notice that AUD CAD has actually broken below this particular support here on the daily time frame. It has broken below this support, and what that means is, let's check it out. If it has broken below this support, it should likely be heading towards the nearest support. But let's see something. Let's see why this zone is a tricky zone. You know, before you take a trade in the market, before you go into the market, your entry point is very important. The price at which you are entering the market is very, very important. You want to enter at a point where you are sure that there is influx of orders. You are sure that you do not have a order block. You are sure that you don't have a barrier point at that point. Now, if you watch out where AUD CAD is currently, you'll find out that from this line that I marked, most recently, the most recent time price was around here, especially from a fall, which is around this point here. Price was rejected here, and that place actually gave price a momentum for price to push all the way up. Okay, and you find out that a couple of times also price has been rejected around that zone. So it tells you that it's not just a mistake that we are seeing a retracement around this particular zone. Yes, my indicator does not say does not give me a support zone around that point, but I can see from price movement, I can see from price action that most recently around that particular zone, okay, sellers were not interested with a further sale. in the market. You understand? We're not interested in further sell, and so that is why you will see a rejection around this zone. So if we go check it out on 1 hour, go check it out on 1 hour, you'll see that that is where has been marked as a weak support on AUD CAD. That point has been marked as a weak support on AUD CAD. And then we can now go further to consider the candlestick formations around this point to see if there is something that tells us that, okay, price wants to push around above this point. Now you would notice that on this particular support here, we've had a hammer around here. We've had a couple of hammers around here, although we've not had any clear confirmation. But it tells us that there is a rejection around this point here, which I feel that we can take advantage of on AUD CAD today. Okay, remember that AUD CAD is Australian dollar over Canadian dollar. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, okay? So Australian dollar is the base and it's falling so much, but we're looking out for like, I think that, okay, my chart is fine. Okay, good. So we have this rejection around here, but what we are going to do now is this. I'm going to consider on 1 hour, just above this most recent high where price was supposed to make a retracement, but around here, it fell back down. This is what I'm going to consider for me to go in for my buy. AUD CAD is on a downtrend, and so whatever we are doing now is AUD CAD is just likely going to retrace towards the closest resistance, maybe somewhere around here, and then fall back down. Okay, because it's on a downtrend, I expect that if it heads towards the closest resistance, I expect it to actually fall back down. Okay, and that resistance is around here. The most recent resistance is around this point here. The most recent resistance to price to AUD CAD is around here. Why? Because this is around here. It was rejected most recently. We have my indicator here is giving me this stone cold resistance, but I feel this is too far, especially since AUD CAD is I don't think we have any high impact news today. Honestly, no, we don't. We don't have an Australian dollar, we don't have a Canadian dollar, so it's going to be technical. So what I want you to do for AUD CAD is to watch it around this support. These are the two zones to look out for when it comes to trading AUD CAD today. These are the two zones to look out for. Okay. Now, the first zone is if it breaks above your 0.8910 region, 0.8910 region. If it breaks above that point, then we could consider buying to this resistance. Okay, we can consider buying to this resistance. And then at this resistance, I would also look out for taking a sell from here. If it breaks above here, then it is retracing to this point. I would look out for taking a sell from here because I expect that from here, it will push back down to continue the downtrend. Okay, but if it doesn't do that and instead it's going to continue falling, once price breaks below this support, we can look out for a sell. At least consider taking 10 pips or thereabout from this particular trade. Okay, so AUD CAD is currently ranging, and so what we have done is we have taken breakout points for it. Okay, we've taken breakout points above the 0.8910 region and below the 0.8870 region. Okay, but I'm telling you, at this particular resistance here, this is where I'm going to be putting in sell orders. Anything that makes price retrace towards this place, I'm going to be putting in sell orders and expecting that it retraces or reverses back or continues the downtrend. Okay, that's AUD CAD, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I also wanted to consider FR40 for us today. FR40. FR40 is also an index. It's also like DE30. FR40 is also like D30. D30 is already at that support zone where we can take advantage of our buy orders. Yeah, good. So FR40 is also at its own support zone. Not a verified support though, a Toncoat support. Now, when we talk about FR40, I think people also call it CAC40. It's a French index. It's a French index, okay? But you can see that FR40 is on a free fall. That said, it is currently on a support, and let's see how strong this support is. Although this support is measured as a Toncoat support, but let's see what price has done at this particular zone most recently. Okay, so we'll check out and see that price has been rejected around here, most likely in the past. The most recent time it was falling around here, we seem to have a kind of rejection here. So this is a strong point. This is a point where I expect a retracement from. So for scalpers, you can begin to scalp a buy around this particular zone here. I'm going to mark it. Oh, sorry. Yes, we want a rectangle for this one. So this is where my buy order is going to be. Okay, this is where my buy order is going to be, around this particular weak support here. I'm going to zoom in my chart now so that we can see it clearly. Okay, so this is where I am considering for FRE40. Okay, it's a French index also. FRE40, I want to take in my buy around this point and then take profit once I'm in profit. For scalpers, you can scalp your buy around this zone. But if price breaks below this point here, price breaks below this point, then I am going to be selling to this untested support. Okay, that's FR40. We move on from FR40 and we go to USD JPY. Look at USD JPY. Okay, for USD JPY, that's the dollar against the Japanese yen. Japanese yen has really suffered a lot. I think that also we did not get enough support from China. Japanese yen did not get enough support from China. There's been, most recently, they came out and actually the dovish statement that came out was quite surprising. That dovish statement, especially regarding rate cuts in a time where most other economies are considering a rate hike. And so that is why you will find out that over time, since March, on the daily time frame of USD JPY, since March, price has been on an uptrend. Yes, an uptrend, and also price has broken this particular point. For USD JPY, I'm considering a buy. But what we are going to do is we want to take a buy around this support zone here. You want to be patient for price to retrace towards this particular point. This is going to be my entry point for USD JPY. It's going to be my entry point for a buy for USD JPY. My take profit is going to be before or around the untested resistance. Let's see how many pips we have from that zone. Good, about 60 pips. So a retracement is currently being made. USD JPY is on an uptrend, you see. So even if I'm trading USD JPY, even if price retraces towards this point, this verified support, I'm still going to have my buy trade because it's on an uptrend. And you'll find out that it has made higher highs, right? It has made higher highs, even higher lows. First low around here, a higher low here, a higher low here, and then we'll have one here. So I'm looking at taking a sell, a buy around this particular zone here. We might take profit before that week untested resistance. I expect that if price is retracing back up from this place, it should break this resistance towards the turn-quote resistance. So for USD JPY, you want to enter a buy on support. Pick your support zones and take your buy on the support zones. That's what you want to do for USD JPY. Okay, that's what I will advise for USD JPY. I think we'll also, let's look at gold. So when gold approached the 2000 zone, a major zone for it, we actually expected that there's going to be a retracement around that point. And we've had that retracement. Gold has, especially because of the strength of the dollar, gold gave an inverted hammer on the daily time frame here sometime in May, early May. And then from that point, it has actually sold. But you would notice that where gold currently is a tough point. You know, it's ranged and it has traded around that point for about 5 days now. Traded above that point around 5 days. Even the fundamentals has come out, has not created a breakout. You know, it's ranged around that point. We have around this point also, and so you see that this is a legit zone for gold. It's a legit zone for gold, especially because if you check on 1 hour, you're going to find out that around this rejection here, it has made like a bullish engulfing. So I'm going to advise a buy on gold. I'm going to advise a buy on gold. If you're buying gold, your stop loss can be below this particular range here, below this support here. You can put your stop loss at 1952 or thereabout. But I expect gold to actually buy this morning, since it is trading off this particular support and with the candlestick patterns that it gave within the last 1 hour. Okay, I expect a buy. So you can buy gold between here and maybe 1965 or 1966. You can look out for a buy on gold around that zone. Yeah, so that is what I would advise for gold. That's what I would advise for gold. Okay, this is okay. Yes. What else? What else? Let me. Okay, I think that we can just do one more. We can do one more. Let's check out. Okay, I see AUD USD. Oh, I thought I did that. Oh, that what I did was AUD card. Okay, okay. AUD USD. Just like we explained about how weak the Australian dollar is, because of its ties to China as a trade partner. I feel like that is why this weakness is going to continue on AUD USD. Okay, this weakness is going to continue on AUD USD. So what you want to do on AUD USD, you can see just like AUD card, they had a kind of bullish rejection here, which will mean that there's likely going to be a retracement around this point. But what I would advise, if you are trading AUD USD, this is where whatever retracement market is going to do, this is where I want to take my buy from. Around this resistance is where I want to take my buy. I'm sorry, my sell from. If price retraces towards this resistance, take your sell, expecting that price is going to continue that trend and make a lower low. Okay, so if I take a sell from this point, how many pips do we have around here? Let's even take from minimum around here. How about 30 pips? So if price is going to retrace, let it retrace towards this particular yellow box, this resistance point, and then I can take my sell, from this particular point here. Okay, so if you're trading AUD USD, wait for the retracement towards this stone cold resistance and take your sell from here, expecting that price is going to come make a lower low. You will notice that on 1 hour, even on 4 hours, price has continually made a lower low. You see it, lower lows fall, make a lower low fall. So it may likely come the same way it returns back to hang around the resistance. Anytime it falls, it returns back to hang around the resistance. That is also how it's likely going to come hang around this resistance, giving us an opportunity for a buy. For a sell. Okay, for a sell. So that is what I would advise on AUD USD. Let it retrace towards this resistance, and then you can take a sell from that point. Okay. I also told us that later today by 1 p.m. we'll be having, so the thing is, we're going to have a stretch. We're going to have a stretch from 1 p.m. to about 2:30 p.m. Okay, so you want to join us with the same link for the indices mastery class from 1 p.m. It's going to move from 1 p.m. and then by 2 p.m. We are going to now go into the live session, the New York session, after which we'll be able to take trades. So today, please try and join us. We'll be talking about this. Then you would also notice that our YouTube channel, for those of us that join us, find out that this meeting is actually being live streamed. Yeah, so we have our YouTube channel, and subscribe on the YouTube channel, subscribe on our Telegram channel, because we will likely be just posting content on the YouTube channel, especially regarding some of these indicators, some of these in fact, if you go to the channel right now, these meetings that we have like this are saved there. So it's not a matter of please send me the recording, it's now on YouTube. You understand? You can check out our YouTube page, subscribe, like, and all the good stuff. And then also on Telegram, I also check that out. So don't forget that this same link will connect you by 1 p.m. to our class. And that is why we have, okay, good. We have just dropped this particular, we just dropped the link for you to subscribe on YouTube. Okay, so please like and subscribe. Yeah, we have said that around this zone on DE30. After this, like I said, around this zone on DE30, this is where you want to take your buy. It's a verified support. So you want to take your buy around this zone on DE30. Okay. The only time you might likely take a sell is if it breaks below this point, then you can sell to this verified support. But you want to take your buy around this verified support zone. Scalp your buy. Okay. This is the much we can take. For the remaining instruments and many more, try and join us by 1 p.m. today. Please do your best to join us. I'm sure it would be worth your while. Okay. Thank you for your time. I want to also encourage us, please, to do as much as possible to join this meeting as early as possible. Begin by 8 o'clock. We'll begin by 8 o'clock. And oh, well, I'm done with analysis for today. How do we update your chat? Person just spamming this place. It doesn't. Well, if you want to update your chart, just click on the bottom right here. Click on the bottom right here, and then select rescan server if you're having issues. You understand? So once you do that, I'm sure that if network is good, you should be able to have access. If it doesn't still work, you can come to file, then you can go to open an account. What open an account will do is that open an account will likely scan everything for you. Scan it, then you can close it back, go back and try and access it again, okay? That will be all for now. Thank you so much for your time. Please make sure that you join us by 1 p.m. today as we will be considering parabolic SAR, okay? After which we will talk about the US or the live session by 2 p.m. Bye for now. Have a profitable day ahead.